Hi everyone, this is Gary Berman, host of the Cyber Hero Adventure Show, coming to you with an extraordinarily special opportunity to interview Dr. Zero Trust, Chase Cunningham.
Hey, how are you, man?
Welcome to the show.
It's been a while.
It has been a while,
Yeah.
but that's actually a cool thing because, I've interviewed you several times over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And you're considered by many, including me for sure, to be a luminary in this space.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome. And I remember like when we first met, you had just been involved in solving a very, very important supply chain.
Yeah, it was a busy day.
Yeah,
busy time. Yeah.
Busy time. Can you talk about that at all? I don't know if you can mention a name or not.
I can't mention names, but I mean, I was just brought in with some different agencies to kind of help figure out a really selective issue within our 5G ecosystem, and it was very staggering to see kind of the infiltration that had taken place in technology from enemy nation states, and they're still ferreting that out now today. I mean, it's been a while, so it's once you put it in, it's hard to get it out.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you were like the first, or one of the first.
I was one of the first people on the scene, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Yeah, and then now what we can say publicly for sure is because it's been disclosed by former Director Wray of the FBI that let's just say China has been in all our stuff.
Yeah, they're pretty deeply embedded. They're playing 3D chess, and everybody else is licking the checkerboard. So we're in a bad space, honestly. Just we can't deal with a 4-year cycle. China's playing for the next 50. It's kind of one of those things where you can be president for life, that you're able to set the path. Whereas here, literally every 2 years, it's either a midterm or a general. And 2 years, what can you get done?
Yeah, exactly. Without getting into the political aspect of it, but for example, now, there's been some concern because of the changes of potential security protocols within our systems. What's your take on all that without, getting to like the political aspect?
Yeah, I'm probably the least political person you'll ever be. I think all politicians are pretty much liars and just working their way to screw everybody they can, because you either die a villain or you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain, right? That's pretty much how I look at politics, especially two-party system. It's like trying to pick a dog turd up from the clean end. No matter what, you're going to get shit on your hands, really. So I think that where we're at is it just continues to push things further forward, and I'm all for optimization of what's going on in the federal system. As having been a federal employee, like, I've seen the absolutely astronomical fraud, waste, and abuse. But I think some of the stuff that we're doing is haphazard, and we're moving way too fast in a system that was never built to move fast, and that introduces exceptional risk.
Yeah, and the risk. I read or heard recently an assessment of that. From a national security sort of person. That we are creating our own vulnerabilities. That nation-state actors, whether it be China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, can just sort of walk right in. Is that an oversimplification?
It's not a gross oversimplification, but the reality of the matter is, like, we've built systems that have already had these issues for a long time, and I mean they're there. We've been trying to ferret them out for years, and unfortunately, the nature of the way that the internet was built was for open sharing, communication, and movement, and all those things, which is awesome. It's the only time in human history that we've had this type of access to everybody and everything.
Yeah.
However, that's a double-edged sword, and especially when you're dealing with the scale and scope of what's going on. So it's problematic, but it's not going to be anything going away anytime soon. I don't expect to be unemployed anytime soon, I guess.
Yeah, that's a very interesting, sentence because we're here at the Zero Trust World Conference in Orlando,
Yeah.
Hosted by Threat Locker, and a couple thousand people, and who knows how many conferences there are, conveners, hundreds, in a year. How do the defenders in this realm stay agile and up to date and maintain high level of energy in order to defend all this stuff?
I mean, the truth of the matter is that the basics still are super important. All the sexy, cool, super amazing AI-powered whatever, like, it's We still have people that suck at passwords. We have people that click phishing links. We have folks that don't, take care of admin on the internet. So we can sex up the space all that we want, but like the folks at ThreatLocker, one reason I've seen them grow and do the interesting things they have done is it's a pretty basic principle of if an application is running on a machine and it's not being used, turn it off because it's only good for the bad guy, especially like PowerShell. Like, why does, Sandy and HR need a PowerShell thing on their machine? Turn it off. So from the perspective of strategy and actually making a difference, companies like ThreatLocker and some of the other ones in this room are doing really good things that actually make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, to just reduce the attack surface.
I mean, you just take away the adversary's ability to be successful. And I think that's what gets lost a lot of time is people also forget that when you're talking about nation states and hackers and even the Mexican cartels are now getting into cyber because it's more profitable.
No way.
Oh, yeah, it's more profitable than drugs.
That's breaking news to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, they've started recruiting folks out of the University of Mexico and basically saying, like, either write malware or die. Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those ones of this is where it goes. And if you just
malware or die.
Pretty much, yeah. It's the same thing the Russians do. So if you're, they'll recruit people out of the university and go, hey, we'll give you an apartment, and we'll, pay for your stuff and whatever else, and you're good. But they don't even realize that they're writing malicious software. They all write little pieces of code, and someone else cobbled it together and uses it for part of the program. And then if your stuff doesn't work, you're obviously not, worth it. So they just put a bullet in your head and bury you in the desert. I mean, that's how it works.
Well, I'm glad I'm not a coder.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, now with the LLMs, you don't have to be a coder anymore.
So like, I mean, what is that? I just saw, one of my favorite AI sort of prognosticators or, analysts, happens to have the last name of Berman, said that the latest version of one of the frontier systems, I can't remember which one it was, it scored better than 98.5% of all human coders.
It doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, coding takes a little bit of creativity, and it's not a knock on the coders, but really they're building things in a very formulaic fashion, and they're following practices and protocols, and it's if this, then that. Machines were built for that, and now you can operate at such a scale and do it so quickly that it's able to almost innovate on its own. I mean, my kids now, they're in high school, when they take, basic computer stuff, they just go in and ask GPT and it gives them the answer.
Let me ask you about, like, sort of the next generation of defenders. There's always been this, at least since I've been in this industry, this sort of lack of talent and tremendous frustration and lots of well-intended, but I think sporadic efforts to fill the pipeline of high-quality people. What's your assessment of that?
So I think that folks like yourself that are trying to get to the younger generation are actually trying to fix the problem because we need more of those people to come in that are from diverse backgrounds, that are not the typical NSA hacker type, whatever else. However, the market itself has also generated this narrative that we have a lack of human capital writ large, when in truth, there is no lack of human capital. That's been created by the vendors to try and sell more product.
Wow.
You need really good people that know what they're doing, that can operate at scale with really good technology to solve the problem. I don't need 10,000 people in a SOC to reset passwords. It's just not how it works. So I don't need 1,000 people to reset firewall rules. Especially now, I should be able to go towards a system that's well crafted with all the hooks and APIs and go, where's my alert? How do I fix this? Give me a response and then apply the fix. And that's where you scale up. And that's why I say, like, the younger generation coming in, just like we're not the internet generation, our kids are, that's where they're going to come from. So my general hope is that folks like yourself will get this message out to the younger folks. They understand that this is probably one of the best career spaces that they can be in for the foreseeable future.
That's a really important insight, which is how do we make this stuff cool?
That's a tricky one because security is also one of the things of if you're doing your job really well in security, nothing happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's proving a negative.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that what we have to translate for folks is, like, if you're looking for a future, this is a great place to be because it's going to be there for a long, long time. But you also should understand a lot of the jobs that you probably were planning on getting ready for may not be there in the very near future. So
What's your assessment of that in cybersecurity?
I think that there's going to be a lot of stuff that gets optimized, and I think we're still going to need techs, we're still going to need SOC operators, we're still going to need analysts, those folks, but you're going to be able to do the work at scale now. So if you're good, you're going to be really good. If you're okay, you're probably going to be good, which is great.
Okay, so it elevates everyone. Yeah. So, people, are talking about AI like all the time, and I remember like zero trust. I've done several interviews with Sean Cunningham. You partner with him on something, or Richard
Yeah.
Steiner?
Both of them.
Like, what's up with that?
So we did a bunch of recordings for some demo stuff for vendors, and basically we just asked them I would call it non-biased questions and let them respond to it. It's always a good program.
Is it still operating?
I honestly don't know. I know that I contributed my part, and I think it's still rolling around. So
Richard has always been a pioneer, in analysts, and he's been doing some really interesting stuff with AI and other new stuff. Are you in touch with any of those kinds of things?
So I'm not with Richard per se, but Richard's definitely one of the folks that I look to as far as like thought leadership. The guy you want to talk about luminary, like there's one of them. I think that there's a lot of that going on, and it's going to start showing itself in the near future where the vendors are going to be held more accountable. Like the days of being able to claim all this stuff and not deliver are going away.
Well, that was my point, because I remember when John first did his paper and about zero trust, and then all the vendors, just to make a general statement, said, "Hey,
Marketing, right?
we do zero trust." What's the how do you sort of close is there a chasm between the marketing and communications people and the technologists?
Well, there's a massive chasm. I mean, that's just how marketing works. A lot of folks, I think, have the misconception that, like, for people that really believe in ZT, that it irritates us. Me, I'm great. It means more focus on space. But there's also that fine line of I've got to keep it real. So it's good to be where you can kind of hold vendors to the fire in that space. But it's never bad when there's an actual valuable strategy, just like healthcare or something along those lines, and everyone dumps money in there for marketing purposes. You get eyes on glass. So you can grow and you can do things better. I mean, we would have never had executive orders on zero trust without the marketing dollars.
Good point. So, healthcare, since you mentioned, your experience cuts across everything. What do you think about healthcare and vulnerabilities and literally the life and death consequences?
Healthcare is woefully behind on cyber for a whole lot of reasons. I did a workshop with a physician in a hospital, and at the end of the thing, the president of the hospital said, "My job is not cyber, my job is saving lives," which I agree. But my question to him was, can you save lives without your gear working? And all of a sudden, the thought came through, okay, wait a minute. And I mean, last year, I talked about this in my session today, there was 141 organizations that are healthcare related in the United States that were ransomed last year. 48 people died because of direct results of ransomware activity. So it's very kinetic, it's very real, and healthcare orgs need to understand that they need to get moving on this. They're viable, valid targets. So,
linking a few of the thoughts right now, then I want to get to your brand new book that you're launching. I don't know, is this a premiere? I've never had a scoop.
So this is my first one on,
Okay,
yeah.
So we'll get to
first podcast about the book, yeah.
We'll get to it in just a moment. But I want to circle back to this notion of talent. And, so one of the things that I've been thinking about, based on listening and learning to a lot of is for mid-sized organizations or even small medium businesses, within that, they don't have talent. And it's because, for a small business anyways, the person who brings, a cup of coffee is the same one who does IT. So manage applications. And so also for the first time there have been layoffs in the technology ecosystem and cybersecurity within that, as you all know. And so there's a lot of high-level talent kind of seeking like, okay, what's next? What do I do with my career next? So, I've been hearing a lot about fractional employees or virtual CISOs and things like that. What's your assessment of that?
I mean, I think most SMBs shouldn't even bother trying to do cyber themselves. They should be working with fractional CISOs and MSPs and MSSPs. I mean, the majority of people here are MSPs and MSSPs. I tell people all the time, like, think about it from the perspective of I'm a small business owner. I really hate taxes. Guess what I do? I hire someone to do my taxes.
Right.
And I pay them and they do a great job, and I haven't been to prison yet, which is awesome. So it's the same sort of.
At least not for taxes.
Yet, I said yet, yeah. So I mean, it's the thing of that's where we should be going, and I don't, for the life of me, understand why everyone still thinks we need to do cyber and we need to have cyber people. And if you're someone that's transitioning out from a leadership role in cyber, I mean, it's a great time to set up your own firm, start working. Because if you look at the trends on MSPs and MSSPs growth, it's skyrocketing because folks are finally realizing, like, I can't keep up with this. I need someone to do it for me.
Yeah, but one of the things I learned about that sub-statement that you're making here is because they're technology, they really don't like selling, and maybe they're not even that good at.
Yeah.
How do you solve that dilemma if you're, high level, incredibly competent person?
I mean, that's where you're gonna have to partner up with somebody to build your business. That's one thing that on the cyber technologist side, like, we haven't done a good job of, is being able to translate our skills directly to value for customers. You can be the most amazing firewall engineer in the history of whatever, but if you're going to set up your own business, you better know how to do business first. And again, none of this is in a vacuum. Folks like myself, like I'm not a business person per se, but you figure it out or you partner with someone that can help you. That's just how the system works. So we're not, for some reason in cyber, for the longest time, we've had this unicorn idea that we're really unique and that none of those rules apply to us when it's just not. I mean, it's physics. So just deal with physics.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's turn to your book.
This is your copy, by the way. But,
yeah. Thank you very much. Let me show our audience this book, How Not to Lead Lessons Every Manager Can Learn from Dumpster Chickens, Mushroom Farmers, and Other Offenders. So is it safe to assume that this is not focusing on cyber?
No, this is a general leadership. I would call it like leadership in the technology space, just because I've dealt with so many of these people. I mean, the majority of stuff that's in there is either military experience and war story stuff or experience in the trenches of tech to really get people to understand. Like, I read so many books from folks that were walking on hot coals and how to make $1 million and whatever else. I was like, where's the book about how not to be a jackass? So I wrote it.
I think I just exploded my colleague's ear when I laughed. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, but it was like, where's that? Because I mean, if anything, at the end of the day, when I go to work for somebody, I don't want them to be a jerk or an entitled butthead or whatever else. And that was kind of what I wanted with this book, was here's what not to do.
So what is the first one that comes to mind?
I mean, the first one I think stands out to me is the whole mushroom farmer thing, which, if you're not familiar with the way mushrooms grow, like mushrooms, you keep them in the dark and you throw manure on them and they grow. That's a lot of times what they do to their people, is they'll keep them in the dark and they throw manure on them and expect them to grow and do good things.
Oh, that's an interesting analogy.
Yeah, so you don't want to be a mushroom farmer. You want to keep your people in the light. You want to make sure that they're fed and watered and all those things and they can grow. And another interesting fact I learned, just tangential on mushrooms, is mushrooms actually communicate underground with a cilia level. So they actually talk to each other. So that's what you call gossip. And guess what? When people are in the dark and they're fed shit, they will talk to each other. And that breeds bad places. So
wow, that's such a common sense thing.
Right? But people do it all the time, and you're sitting there going, like, this, you are setting yourself up for failure and then wondering why you failed. It doesn't do any good to crawl up on the cross and brag about the nails in your hands.
Okay, so, shine the light. What's another one?
Don't be a dumpster chicken, which is a seagull. Have you ever been at I was in the Navy, and we always had seagulls at the end of the pier where the trash was.
Yeah, dumpster chicken.
Right, yeah, dumpster chicken. And it's interesting to see that there's like a hierarchy going on there, but seagulls really, with the way that they run each other off, is they'll fly in and crap on everybody until they leave, and then they go eat what they want and they fly away. If you've ever been in a leadership position with people that do that, that's a very real thing. Some people call it helicoptering, whatever. I call it being a dumpster chicken. So, don't fly in, crap all over what everybody's doing, take your little bit of win, and then go away. Like, be engaged and be involved in the fix.
You know, this is so pragmatic. You know, I feel like I should be on a therapy, just sort of listening to
Maybe
it.
I missed my doctor calling, right?
Yeah, or maybe it's happening. Yeah, you know. So another one.
I mean, the last one is if you're gonna, you deserve what you tolerate, and this is something like I tell my kids, like it's
Oh man, I get that.
it's a life lesson, right? I say the quote is actually you deserve what you tolerate, and you get what you expect. And people don't think about that enough. If you let people mistreat you, expect to be mistreated. If you tolerate your employees being disrespectful, expect to be disrespectful. Rather than getting irritated and pissed off about it, like when it rears its ugly head, deal with it and just move on.
Copy that. Well, as we're kind of wrapping up, how do people get a copy of your book?
So it's on Amazon. Definitely get through there. Wiley Publishing has done it. I have another book coming out in a month or so. So I've been on a writing. So yeah, that's a break for you. Yeah, my second fiction novel's coming out next month.
What's the sort of arc?
So first book was artificial intelligence gone rogue, Navy SEALs, stuff like that.
So I remember we did a show about cyber warfare.
Yeah, so that was my nonfiction book, which was really cool to write. And then I kind of just decided I wanted to try to write fiction, because you know, fiction's harder, I think. Nonfiction, you just do some research, translate it, put it on paper. Fiction, it's all out of your head.
Yeah.
So yeah, the second book is a continuation of that series. It's AI, cyber warfare in China, and the CCP, and kinetic attacks.
You sure that's fiction?
Well, for now.
Yeah, exactly. And so how does our audience get it?
So that's out for pre-order right now on Amazon as well. If you just go look at my author page, you can get it all there. And I donate 100% of any money I make off books to veterans charity. So I'm not going to make $1 off of it. I'm going to give it to somebody else.
Well, you know, on behalf of the Grateful Digital Universe, Chase, thanks for who you are and for what you do, and most importantly, why you do it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great. It's always good to run into you.
Thank you. And to our audience, stay tuned for more for the Cyber Hero Adventure Show.